Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. Again, we are here in a way that may seem strange to many. I want you to get used to hearing this voice. I want you to understand the reality that is here. You would ask yourself, human being, is this real? You might say, Kryon, I'm having a hard time believing that you're really channeling and that the voice comes from the other side of the veil. It's so difficult. If that's what you're saying today, human being, I will say, blessed are you. For these are honest words coming from one who is struggling to work out of the three-dimensional box. And what happens is that slowly, if you ask the right questions of your own self, of your own belief, of your own psyche, you start getting shown things you didn't expect. For if indeed it is a quantum experience on the other side of the veil, if indeed I am linearizing this conversation and presenting it to my partner, if this is true, this is a quantum experience. And that means that language is only a small part of it. That the audio that you would hear or the words that are seen on the page, such a small part of it. We have spoken of something called the third language. This third language, identified some time ago, is not a language in linearity, which is the third one. It is a language of the catalyst of the three. We use the three in numerology to represent a catalytic action number. That is to say that all of you have the ability to receive what is being given at a level which is quantum and not language, and not words on a page. Even the reader of this particular message can ask for a quantum experience and be in the session with those who are in the session. Art and music. We've told you that they are quantum. We have told you how you could go into the Louvre and watch a painting. That you can immerse yourself so completely that you can see and feel the artist creating it. That you become one with the creator of the painting. So much is there that is not for the human eye. And this is the one who appreciates the art. Music touches your very soul. All of the notes playing together in unison, in harmony. It is one of the only arts where all of that can be presented together and there's no limit to the number of musicians on a stage. But you can't do that with speech, can you? No limit to the number of colors on a palette. You can't do that with speech, can you? There's a little bit of quantum in everything, if you look. So look for it here before we start. A message that is not going to be a quantum one filled with love necessarily, although it is. But we're choosing to do something unusual. We're going to give you some science. We've chosen perhaps an odd place for that. But we haven't. For we think in a quantum way. We wanted to come to this place. We want to honor those who built this building. We want to honor the ancestors who are listening. We've come to a very quiet place in the stillness of a Southwest in order to give a message of clarity, of purity, so that others will also receive it in that fashion. So it is not about the message at all, it is about the delivery. It is about the energy of where you sit. It is about the preparation that we give my partner sitting in this place. And so we will. When we give a scientific message, when we give suggestions, I ask my partner to go very slow. Some of this has been revealed to him and some of it has not. I ask him to proceed slowly, for it will be seen and read clearly, and much will be seen around it. For what follows in this message is not just esoterics. There will be a practicality, and there will be physicists looking at it. And that makes my partner nervous. It is not going to be complex. For even the one sitting in the chair who doesn't understand science will still receive what they need to receive through the third language, and will understand why these things are being given. And all through this, the entourage which is poured into this place, which represents the ancestors of all of you, resounds even with the builders of this building, of the consciousness that allowed it to be planned so many years ago, for the display of ceremonies that it has on a regular basis, and what that means to the earth and the land, to continue to hear the ancients giving the sounds that they have given for so long. All of this wrapped into this building, into this place where my partner gives a message of science. Not necessarily a long one, but one which you have to hear. It's about the environment. And let us start with assurance. Let us review one more time that what you are seeing in weather changes on this planet you have not created by yourselves with human effort. What you have called global warming is not global warming at all. And I say it again, it is part of a cycle that always was. The North Pole has melted several times and come back several times. It is a waxing and waning. The water evaporation cycle, it has been here before. It is here sooner than expected, and that is alarming. If you were to ask Gaia, the actual energy of Gaia right now, to come into this place, Gaia would give this message: humans have not caused this. Could it be any clearer? And I give you this information so there would be no alarm sounded of things that you would have to change drastically and dramatically. Now, at the same time I would say that, I would say this: there is a mandate to change your energy. What you put into the air is significant, for it is a hazard to your health. What you put into the air hurts humanity, not necessarily Gaia. Gaia is more resilient than you think. Gaia adjusts in ways you don't expect. Gaia takes care of Gaia. Clean up the air, and you will live longer. And that is one of the subjects of today. It's going to get colder. That's one of the subjects of today. You're going to need more energy. That is the subject of today. And we have given you the steps of creating energy easily. And we've given you advice in the past. And one of them we wish to revisit. For it's time for you to think out of the box of three-dimensional when it comes to some of the things that we have discussed with you. You think in a straight line. You don't think past necessarily certain things that you assume. At the same time I give you this information, I will also tell you that this particular information is already known on the planet. It is the way of it. We do not give you something that has not already occurred to a human being. Free choice is what we have told you is the operative word, even in science. This must have occurred, and a human being must have had a situation where they're actually aware before we will give you a message like this. And the reason we do it is because one human being aware sometimes could do nothing about it. But the thought is given. When these thoughts are given to humanity, they normally land on the planet in more than one place. That is to say, epiphanies of discovery happen all at once, usually 3 to 4 times, in order to assure that they will not be lost. And so I am going to add this voice. There is tremendous energy available from the earth for free. It is not free energy, for you have to build an extractor to get it. But it's everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. It is called geothermal energy. And it goes like this. Below your feet, not very far, not really. It's hot. Hot enough for you to drill down and create steam. If you can create steam through natural process of thermal energy of the planet, you can drive turbines and create electricity. That will create heat. There are other ways to create heat as well, using even the geothermal heat itself. You're fond of steam engines, and you've been using them very, very long time, and you continue to. Today's nuclear reactors are simply very, very expensive steam engines. For you heat water, you create steam, and you drive turbines. So we are giving you something to think about. For nuclear power, as good as it is not clean. There is a side effect. And you know what it is. For there are waste products which are dangerous, and you know this. As clean as it is, there is still something you have to dispose of. Geothermal, there is no thing you have to dispose of. But it is dangerous. And now we open the discussion. If you can drill approximately 5 kilometers down, you will find enough heat. Now 5 kilometers to you is not that far in a straight line along the surface of the earth. Many of you walk that distance to school and work. It's not that far. But if you're going to drill down technically, it becomes difficult and dangerous. Not just dangerous for the driller, but dangerous for the planet. On the way down through the crust of the earth to the 5 kilometer mark, you go through pockets that you might know are there, releasing gas perhaps, releasing fire perhaps, releasing water perhaps. If nothing else, sometimes you interrupt what we will call the integrity of the lubricant of the shale itself. And what I'm saying here is you might even advance the potential of an earthquake, all by drilling down only 5 kilometers. And so I'm going to give you the answer. And now I'm saying, think out of the box. All along you're thinking that you're going to drill down and put a pipe with water in it. What if I told you you only had to drill down a fraction of that distance, and you could find enough heat to boil? And you'd say, impossible. Oh, it exists over the hot spots of the earth, but you might know it doesn't exist in most of the places we're asking you to drill. Well, it will work if you don't use water. It's time to marry the highest technology that you have on the planet with things you didn't expect to marry them with. And this is thinking out of the box. This is becoming a little more quantum, seeing the entire picture instead of just seeing what you think it should be. There are solutions, and you know what they are, and they're elegant, that will boil at a fraction of the temperature that water will. And this is the answer. Learning to use those substances and those fluids and that chemistry into a geothermal machine that doesn't have to drill down 5 kilometers. How about 2? And we tell you this because you're going to need to do this. And if you do it, and if the advice is followed, you'll find that the timing and the synchronicity of discovery is at hand. That is to say, you will understand these things will fall together. You will get the steam engine, and it won't take 5 years to build, and it won't be dangerous, and you don't have to cover it with a shell. Much easier. It won't belch smoke. It won't pollute. And you don't have to worry about being next to it. And it'll drive electricity. And you're going to need to heat homes and businesses. Because eventually, it's going to get cold. That's number 1. We're going to give you one other invention. Now, this also has been presented on the planet. This has been thought of and not acted upon. This actually is not all that new. But I will tell you that there is a situation at hand where it was inappropriately purchased and pocketed. So I'm going to give it to you so that the public can see it, and anyone with synchronicity who listens to the message and reads the words will understand it. Even you sitting in the chairs will understand it. And the scientists and the physicists will then have to implement it. The resource that this planet is going to need the most, as the population grows, as the weather changes, is what you probably already have guessed. Fresh water. Already it's becoming scarce. You will notice the snow is falling in the wrong place. The reservoirs are built for the old energy with the old weather. The aqueducts are built for the old energy and the old weather, and all the snow is falling in the places that are not obtainable for fresh water, and that will be the way of it. As the populations grow, scarce it becomes. And there is one answer. It is a profound way, when the earth is mostly water, to use the sea and the ocean. The ocean, of course, is not fresh water. And so you have to ask how to extract the salt. Desalinization exists today in a very inefficient way. Large amounts of water have to go into vats of containment and sit there, or large amounts of energy are used to heat the water. In various ways, various attributes, various systems, some of them steam, some of them not, all requiring heat to take out the salt. It takes a long time. It's expensive. It's not efficient. It is not tenable to desalinate for an entire city. Only in places that simply have no fresh water at all is it used. So inefficient is it. Now I'm asking you to think out of the box, and I'm going to give you the answer. My partner, I want you to go slow here. Most of the cities on earth, of all of the countries on earth, the largest ones are on the coasts near the water. This is because over time, Those coastal areas were the places where trade could happen with ships and ports. And so you end up with the largest cities being on the ocean. It's a good place to start, is it not? To give water for them from the source which they can simply look at and use. The answer is not that difficult, but it requires something that has not been thought of, really. The highest technology you have today has to do with the smallest of the small. You call it nanotechnology. That which is extremely small, even taking form as what you would call robots, that could be inserted even into the bloodstream, perhaps even to seek out and kill disease. That's how small the nanoparticles are. You're making them intelligent through chemistry, through logic, through electronics, and cleverly you find that they can do many things. Now I'm going to give you a task. You're going to build a desalination plant where the water never stops flowing, where it can be treated and salt can be removed and a byproduct created that you had no idea about. It never has to rest. It never has to be cooked. There is no heat involved at all. It goes in one end and comes out the other in a steady flow. In one end it's salty, in the other end it's fresh, ready then for purification. And here is the answer. Through nanotechnology, in the first stages of the system with the water flowing, you release enough nanotechnology robots that are assigned to find the salt and attach themselves to it. Except there is a caveat, and that every single robot is magnetic. I am the magnetic master, after all. All of the salt then becomes magnetic. It's not that hard. You have the chemistry for it. You have the nanotechnology. Think out of the box. Think out of the box. Chemist, physicist, you can do it. On to the next stage, flowing into the next part, tremendous, huge electromagnets, pulling the salt out of the water completely and totally because the salt is magnetic. Out it goes. Oversimplified, perhaps. But this is the way of it. No heat involved. Now, the byproduct? You won't believe it. Oh, and it will be controversial when you discover it. Magnetic fields applied to water often creates water that is quite healing. Do you see where this is going? What a device that might be. It will be quantum, you know, because it uses magnetics. And this is what we wanted to give you today. This is what we wanted to have recorded today. In this way, that you might hear it. There is so much more. And just in closing, I will tell you what we see in the future, and we're not going to give you a time frame, for there is none. This information I'm about to give you can be 2 generations away, maybe 3. But it all has to do with quantum invention. Physicists, listen, I'm going to give you something you already know is possible. It is another field of science that flies in the face of everything 3-dimensional you've ever learned. Humans are funny. Even in the highest math and geometry you have, everything is defined in a straight line. Everything defined in a straight line. A circle is an infinite number of straight lines. That's funny. It's almost as though a circle didn't exist in nature. And the human has to straight line it for it to exist. Interesting, isn't it? I'm just giving you the bias. Bubbles have always been around. They're beautiful, you know. They're natural, you know. The circle is a natural occurring event in space as well. What you don't know, and you may suspect, gravity and magnetism all bend. They don't go straight. They never have. What about light? It doesn't either when affected by the other two. That ought to tell you something. Nothing is really a straight line at all. The only straight lines around are in the brains of the humans. You're not using the right kind of math either, and we've told you that. There is an elegance of math that is quantum. And if I begin to tell you about it, even in the simplest terms, it's going to seem overly complex. Quantum math uses something that is going to be discovered, and we're going to give it a name, and that's going to be influential numbers. Numbers that exist not with empirical values, but with values that are influenced by the numbers around them. 4 is not a 4. 4 is modified because of the numbers that sit next to it. In a formula, in linearity, in counting, each time a formula is manufactured in a quantum state, looking for a solution, all of the numbers are modified by the numbers next to them. They're influential numbers. The 4 is affected by the 5. Reduced maybe by the 3. And in quantum math, if you use influential numbers, dear ones, it is a beautiful thing when you find out the attributes of them and they are consistent. You will then have the formula for a circle being a whole number, not an irrational number at all. It won't be pi. It'll be pi solved. We ask the physicists to work it backwards if you have to get a whole number of pi. That'll give you a hint at what has to be done. Imagine mathematics with influential numbers, where each number is not empirical, but influenced by the one around it. I'm giving you high math now. And here's how it's going to serve you. Because when you start to understand it, you're finally going to understand what I'm going to call the holy grail of physics. That's a human term. In your straight line thinking, in your bias, you have all of your 3D formulas, don't you? And when you look at the basis of physics, you talk about those things which have mass. And in those things which have mass, you've even figured out atomic structure and density. All those things. And you think they're static, don't you? You think there is a formula that is for everything. If it has so much mass, it weighs so much in a certain atmosphere, a certain gravity. You've got it all figured out. And I will tell you that all of those formulas are 3D. And as soon as you become quantum with them, they all stretch. All this to tell you this: it is possible for you to alter the mass of any object in existence. It doesn't matter how large or small or dense it is. You can alter the mass of it, and you have thought all this time that the formula is static, and it is not. In Yugoslavia, there's a workshop. Historic it is, for the man who thought out of the box, Tesla. in that workshop there are marks on the ceiling for the objects that took off on his workbench and went straight up. Shattered they did, hitting the ceiling they did. Nikolai was frustrated, for he had discovered massless objects and didn't know how. He thought out of the box, the only one in existence to ever give you a thought of how alternating current might work. Oh, it's more than 3D, study it. The same applies with numbers. The same applies with mass. And I will tell you that it is accomplished through magnetics. Always has been. And that was the experiment. In Tesla's time, without a computer, without any of the finite instruments you have today to measure what you have, he did it. But he couldn't control it. Frustrated he was. By the way, he's back. I'm not going to tell you where. Maybe he will listen to this and know what to do next. Clever it is how magnetic fields must be arranged around other magnetic fields. Even solutions that are magnetized to create fields within fields, sometimes at right angles, sometimes not, to give you a condition that will create a change in mass. None of these things are out of the purview of human development. How long it'll take? We don't know. That's up to you. But do you understand what it will change? That means that the things of science fiction are finally yours. What you call anti-gravity is simply an object without mass. It'll float, no matter how big. It's doable. It's in all of your science fiction movies. Maybe it's time to implement it. Kryon, why do you give us these things? And with this we close. We want you to stay here. Give it in love. We want you to stay here. And you're not going to have much luck with that unless you start thinking quantum. Unless you start accelerating the inventions and put some of the politics out of the way. For the countries which must do this are the ones that have the highest technical abilities. And they also have the highest influential structures that are in the way of it all. It is time for the population to understand this and turn the physicists loose and not strap them with those things that are difficult with burdens. And maybe you don't know what I speak of, but they do. Because we want you to stay. In the process there will be life extension. In the process there will be epiphanies. In the process you might even find that this message was accurate and true. And then you've got a puzzle, don't you? Physicists, if you're listening to this, you've got a puzzle. Because who is it who is speaking from the other side of the veil, giving you information that is true and real and scientific? At some level you're going to have to say, it's the piece of you. At some level you're going to have to admit that the spiritual and the sciences have lied, and that the creative energy that created the earth and the magnetics and the gravity and all of the things you study is a piece of you. And maybe then you'll open up. And the things that you wish to have invented, all you have to do is open the box, because you already were there and you helped in their creation. How about that one? It all has to do with the puzzle. Is this real or not? Is Kryon real or not? Is love real or not? Well, some of you know, because you've sat in the presence of the Creator today, who loves you. This family on my side of the veil loves you. It's a wonderful Valentine message, isn't it? And so we say to you, dear ones, all of you, that all of the things that we talk about, whether they're scientific, whether they have to do with your Akash or your soul, the higher self, all of those things, there's only one purpose. To make the life you are living on this planet easier. For you to discover the compassion that is the glue that puts you together. That changes the earth itself. For the shift is upon you. And that which you call the 2012 energy is here. Let this be what it is supposed to be. A high time of consciousness, of scientific evolution with integrity, with an economy that is a re-emerging one with integrity, with government that slowly changes with integrity. Things that you would never put together, that in the past were oxymorons, couldn't exist together. Integrity in government, integrity in insurance, integrity with banking. All of these things, a new paradigm is upon you. This shift is difficult. And we have the warrior and the worker in the chairs in front of me. And they know it, because that's why they came. I know who you are. And I celebrate each one. And so it is.
Hello, I'm Lee Carroll. And
let these few moments be about your awareness of your own beautiful heart. The love that's possible when you allow it in. And the love that is given to us from the other side of the veil. The love that is possible to flow out from a whole, healed, beautiful heart. Flow out into the world and connect with other beautiful hearts. So breathe into that friend in your chest. Been with you since the beginning. And say thank you. Thank you for coming on this journey. Thank you for teaching me. Thank you for all that I've shared with others. And thank you even for my heartbreaks and for my heart healing. And for the love that continues to grow as I learn, as I allow a greater and greater measure of divine source love to flow through my heart. And as our hearts calibrate to receive the love from the other side of the veil, the honoring that is here to wash over us, let your heart, let your consciousness open more than ever. Feel it. Clear your mind, open your heart, and let your consciousness receive with each breath, with each word, the healing message and the love from Kryon.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. The room is filled with those I know. Those who listen later, I know. And this is because all of you are part of a larger family. A family that hides from you while you're here. And I want to talk about something. It's a subject we have broached before, but not necessarily in this way. Here is a brand new energy for the planet, and you are in transition between a consciousness of the past and that which is a promise of the future. How many times have we told you that moving literally from a darker area to a lighter area brings with it joy, anticipation, and also the old energy? For a flash bulb doesn't simply go off and everything is fine. Instead, you have to work the puzzle. We've given you many channels about what takes place when you move from a lower to a higher place. Some of the habits, some of the biases, some of the things you don't even know you've done. There is one thing, however, which is common to most. Something that has got to be cleared. Not because there's old things attaching to it. Something that has to be cleared because of who you are. And when you hear what it is, you'll know. For we've spoken of it before. So let's begin at the beginning. Things that you should know about yourself. Not what you've been told is there. Things spiritually that are so true and beautiful that perhaps you've forgotten. Things that are not taught today in the spiritual systems that you have. Not like this. I want to go back to the beginning. And the beginning, as I am going to see and say, is with the teaching that began. Dear ones, you have a creation story all over the planet. Various cultures have various creation stories. The one that in this culture you may have grown up with, the most popular one, is very similar to the one that we teach as the seeding of the planet. So listen again for just a moment about this amazing thing that took place biologically, esoterically, with humans about 200,000 years ago. There was a shift, a change, a major one. And if you wipe away all of the physics of it and the physicalness of it, what really took place was a beautiful switch, an implantation within the human being of discernment of light and dark. The knowledge for the first time of the Creator. Free choice to see it or not. Intuition. Beauty. Discernment. All of these things were new. There was a leap in evolution 200,000 years ago, designed not by accident. It is the creation story. It's in your Holy Scripture, told perhaps differently, but it's there, the same story. That you are human beings, mammals like any other on the planet, and something happened. an angelic force came down. And with the creation story, you heard it was the Adam, it was the Eve, it was the Garden of Eden, all metaphors, again, for what took place that we've told you about, where you received the beautiful knowledge of light and dark, discernment, choice. It's all over the planet. So now I'm going to put you in the place of the Creator, just for a moment. The question of, like, what would you have done? Let's say that you have the mind of God. And let us say that you have seen this miracle. It's gone by design and you were watching it. What would you do next after the seeding had been complete? To give you a hint of where I'm going, let us say you take a small child and you say, I'm going to give you something amazing and beautiful. I'm going to put you in a library with the knowledge of everything. And you can then choose between the books. And then you go away and you say on the way out, oh, sorry, we never taught you to read. Thousands of books, and you can't touch them. You don't know what's in them. So would it make more sense to have a creation story accompanied then by teaching? And their scripture says nothing about that, nothing at all. So human beings are then given all of this and then left to fend for themselves. There is no teaching from the angel. Truly, Scripture will tell you that the masters then came, and there were many of them. And through history and cultures, there were many of them. But the source that did the seeding, the angelic energy that had the force behind the creation story, simply left. And you were on your own, and then the stories began that you hear. But my story is different. It's more logical that the seeding occurred and the teaching began. You cannot take that kind of a change, place it on humanity, and walk away. Instead, we told you that those who gave you the seeds that were those from what you call the seven sisters, they stayed and they began the teaching. Now, the actual seeding began a long time ago. Very, very gradual, and much had to happen biologically before you got to a point where all were ready. And that was the 52,000-year point. There have been 2 cycles of the wobble of earth involved in human's civilization, where you were there in a succinct enough way to create that which you have done. Everything leading up to 52,000 years ago was preparation. And then came Lemuria. And then came other places on the planet where you were being taught. Not just Lemuria, there was more. Lemuria was special because it was isolated. And that means it could last far, far longer without any kind of visitation in the 30,000 years that the Lemurians were Pleiadians and had Pleiadian teachers. So here we are. The teaching started when the seeding was complete. You're not going to get that in Scripture. You're going to have a creation story, and then everybody's gone. That in itself, dear ones, does not make sense. It's not logical that God would put you in a place and give you this beautiful knowledge and then do nothing with it. No teaching, no instructions. It's almost like dark went to light and then the angels disappeared. That's not even logical, dear ones. No, there was teaching. And the first things that were taught, the first things, with the teaching wheel with 5 spokes, was, who are you? That is what the Pleiadians wanted you to know, where you were from, what this was about, how it works. All the teaching was there. The teaching of the return to the middle, the teaching that you have God inside, and the seeds of those who were teaching you. If the angels came down in the Garden of Eden and had Adam and Eve and did what you heard that they did, does it really make sense? They didn't say to both of them, and now you have what we have. And now you have that which is light in you. And now you have a piece of the Creator in you that we've just put in you. Use it wisely. Here are some hints. There was none of that that was given you. None of it. The truth is, we stayed and taught. The creative source represented by the Pleiadians stayed and taught. And we taught a long time. Doesn't make sense to give you the library without teaching you to read. And that's what we did. And the reason I'm telling you this is because you've lost something. And you need it back, and you need it back quickly. One of the most beautiful aspects that you were taught. The Pleiadian mothers, you call them the star mothers, the teachers, would sit. Beautiful information would come out, and they would tell the children. They would say, look at your mother, meaning the one who is the teacher, and they would say, I want you to gaze upon us because someday you will be us. We want you to gaze upon us from the stars because this is the lineage of earth. We want you to gaze on us and see the beauty of the God that created you is in us and is in you. We want you to understand that you will always return to the center. No matter how many lives you think you have, no matter how long you live, that it goes both ways. You come and go from this planet, the center. You come and go because this is the system. You see, you always return to the creation, and then you go back, and then you come and you go. It's beautiful. It's a push-pull system, coming and going with the beauty of God inside. You are God. That was taught to the children. And they understood it. They understood it because they were looking at it. They saw it. The children became adults. The children's children learned the same thing. And off they went akashically to be born yet again in other places on the planet to carry this message and carry this message and carry this message. And over civilizations, dear ones, with free choice, human nature and the efficiency of dark and light began to be changed. And you know what happened. With free choice, darkness was chosen over light. So many of the civilizations destroyed themselves because they didn't understand any more than darkness. Those who understood and still had that full experience of God inside were put aside and beat up. There was too much power in the light, and the darkness knew it. And slowly, you have what is that which you grew up in, dear ones. Civilization after civilization created much the same light and dark ratio. The light was hidden, put aside. It's interesting, in every single civilization, something took place. Secret societies sprung up. And the secret societies had to hide the knowledge of God inside. But the darkness said, look, there's a secret society there. They must be doing evil things. There must be sorcery there. Don't go there. Don't believe it. The beginning of conspiracies. The beginning of darkness in every corner. The beginning of mistrust. Even those who had the knowledge of God inside in a secret society were called the devil. And the darkness always seemed to win, because human beings would then believe the worst in everything. That defines dark energy. And the beauty of God inside was suppressed. It's almost like you had a piece of gold shining like the sun that was you. And over time, the dirt and the dust got on it, and the gold went away. And here you sit today with dusty gold. Now that's a metaphor for lack of self-worth. It's common. It's common not just with old souls. It's common for humans. For most of the humanity that has come and gone on this planet and reincarnated experienced this, just like you did. That to say that perhaps you were God, or you had any powers, or you knew how consciousness would work, would be a death sentence. Even the shamans, the ones who could make the magic, the ones that would be turned to change the weather, even they were in trouble all the time. Because if something didn't go exactly right, then they were blamed and often terminated. Some of you were them. You are your own ancients, and in that old soul, some of you were them. Some of you were born spiritual with knowledge, and as soon as you were able to grow up and walk, you were actually following the same path yet again. Never ever believing your parents, never ever going to certain kinds of religious structural organizations. Others of you awakened later. But all of you have dusty gold. Lack of self-worth comes from lifetimes of not being believed, of having to cower in the dark. Some of you have awakened with the knowledge intuitively not to push the envelope of light. Just to behave yourself. Don't come out of the closet too quickly or at all, because you might face it again. But even the ones who've come out, even the ones who are teachers, even the ones who write the books, even the ones who sit in the chair and channel, have dusty gold. The truth was given to you, old soul, by those who seeded you. What you did with it, you get to look around and see. Morphed into rules, into negativity, into dysfunction, into many things. Even those who know the truth about the spoke of returning, about the original teaching, even if you know it, you've got dirty gold, dusty gold. In other words, in this room and listening to me, those humans who want to move forward so badly, those humans who say, yes, I'm seeing the light, still suffer from doubt, fear, and lack of self-worth. We know this. We know this. Now, I want you to cognize those words. Spirit, God, the creative source, anything you want to call it, knows of this issue and is ready to help you wipe away the dust so it can shine like the light. And all you have to do is start claiming it. And if you want something to imagine, if you want a visualization, use the one I've just given you. Old soul, you shine like the sun, like pure gold polished so you can see your face in it. And I want you to consider for a moment what it would be like to simply take your hand, even without a cloth, and brush away the dirt and the gold, the dust, and see in the gold your face. See the reflection of your own face in that. And the metaphor for you as you do it will be brushing away doubt, brushing away that which is something that you can't really identify what's wrong inside when you don't believe in things. What's wrong inside when you don't want to come along with a program of beauty or benevolence or compassion. What's wrong inside? What is it that blocks you from believing some of the things that are presented? That's the dust on the gold. It's history telling you it's not real. It's history that's telling you it's dark. It's history that's giving you conspiracies against it. It's all that you've been through. And right now, in this energy, in the light, that gold is waiting for you to simply brush the dust away. And when you do it, even when you begin to do it, even if you consider it, things start to change. If you want to grasp some of the principles that are given here by Kryon, in this chair, in the many chairs for 28 years, if you're ready to go to the next level, it's time to brush away the dust. Because that will be the catalyst for everything you've asked for. Oh, depressed one, I know who's here. I know who's listening. It is so difficult for you to climb out of this thing. Unless you knew something, we know the issue. God is not in a vacuum on the other side of some black veil. God is not judging you for what you've done or what you haven't done. Instead, God is there next to you, waiting and saying, brush it away, blow it away. Here's a cloth if you need it, but do it. And then you'll see who you are. Your face in the gold, the reflection of you, the image of love. The Pleiadian teachers taught the children that they were created in the image of love. That is the Creator. They were created in the image and the beauty of compassion. That is the Creator. That teaching is still with you. It's in your Akash. All you have to do is believe it and start brushing away the dirt, the dust, until you can see your reflection in it and say, I knew it. It's true. I am created in the image of love. Dear ones, this is going to be the major catalyst in this new energy for learning all the things you wish to learn. You cannot proceed much further and be in full and complete doubt of who you are. It doesn't happen quickly. It happens as slow or as fast as your past will allow it. Do you understand that? What have you experienced? What have you been taught? What has been drummed into you? For some, not much. For others, a lot. And so some will have to work harder at it. Oh, depressed one, I'm talking about you. But you have to know you have help. We are here. Spirit is here. Others around you are here to lift you up out of this depression and come to a place, listen to me, where you will never have the dust again. You will not go into depression again. The cycle that you're experiencing and have experienced all your life is over. I'm talking to somebody here. I'm talking also to several who are listening. The cycle will stop when you take the dust away and you finally see yourself as worthy to be on the planet. Not just worthy, you've got stuff to do. How does it feel to know that that is still there? You don't have to reach anywhere for it. You don't have to go anywhere for it. You don't have to study for it. Just blow the dust away. And what you're going to see is the beauty that you are. It's so much easier to see love and love yourself when you're not looking into something you can't even see, a mirror that is so dark. How are you going to see yourself to even know who you are when you're looking at a mirror that has so much dirt on it? Brush it away. Start to see that mirror, that reflection, that gold of God in you. It never changed. Only history changed it. Only what you were told changed it. And it's time to grow up and make your own decisions about who you are and what your relationship is to the universe, to the Creator, to the God inside. Oh, beautiful one. Oh, magnificent human being. I know what that reflection looks like. Go do it. It's time. And so it is.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching this. I wanted to tell you this is a little time sensitive.
I invite you, beautiful soul family, to close your eyes and focus your awareness inward. Just feel into what is happening with your body right now in this moment. How are things feeling for you? If there's any areas of discomfort, perhaps there is a beautiful message that is connected with that area of discomfort. So let us send a beautiful wave of gratitude and appreciation for the biology of our body that is constantly communicating and constantly coming up with solutions, because we are so loved by our body. We are so loved by our subconscious that wants us to survive and exist and be here for a very long time. And in that energy of gratitude and appreciation, let us now celebrate the beautiful, loving message that we are about to hear from the magnetic master called Kryon.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. We present a series, this is part 2, about compassion. We presented one already, we have defined it as we see it. And we're calling it the facets or the faces of 4 kinds of compassion. Now, some of them, as we continue this series, may surprise you. And this is one. We've already covered the most common one, and that is compassion for others. And we've given you some of the elements to look at and some of the things that are not compassionate that you think might be. This one is different. Before we tell you what it is, again, we wish to define compassion as we see it. Oh, dear ones, if I could really show it to you and paint it as a picture to you. Somehow, if I could share the feeling of it with you, especially this one, it would make all the difference. But all I have is words. Perhaps you will tune in to this channel and we can meld together. The definition of compassion as we see it is a connection to spirit. Connection to the mind of God, if you wish, if you can even conceive such a thing. That starts. A connection to the creative source that would give you a meld of energy that would allow for many things, but specifically a few. Open-heartedness, number one. Number two, a mature benevolence. Not just benevolence, a mature benevolence. And three, an understanding of all that is before you. We'll say it again. It is connecting with the mind of the creative source to allow for a meld of energy that creates open-heartedness, mature benevolence, and full understanding. That would be pure compassion as we see it. And it applies to whatever you're looking at. And right now, this one, and the one I want to give you now, it's not the hardest. The hardest, perhaps, is the one to come. But it's different. And it's unexpected. And here it is. Can you have compassion for the plan? Now, if you have been with us before, you have heard me give channelings on the plan. Dear ones, there is a plan for your soul. There is a plan for this planet. It's all with free choice that you have as you come and go, and you come and go, and you come and go. But in this time, right now, as I speak to you, that plan is being fulfilled. And it started in 2012. I have talked about this before. The crossover. The point at which the energy started to shift. I'll get there in a minute. But let me just etch this into you now so you understand what I mean about compassion for the plan. Let's say you're attending a memorial or a funeral, if you wish, for someone you have loved and lost. And in that seat where you sit, listening to whoever is giving that eulogy or perhaps the story of their lives or whatever, you've been there. Suddenly you're overwhelmed with the compassion and you see that person and you see them coming back, young again and laughing with the life before them because they are coming back. You all come back. You all listening right now have had many lives. I am talking to old souls. That's the plan. When you're at that place where there's so much sorrow to so many, can you give compassion and benevolence and understanding and open-heartedness and a perception that is so different from any around you, seeing that loved one returning, rejuvenating, seeing them young again and happy and looking at you and saying, thank you for seeing the plan and not just the sorrow of one little life that you all live so short, come and go. Compassion for the plan, that's just one aspect of it. And you walk around and see the plan working. That plan, we have said before, is a beautiful, perfect plan of spirit should you choose to go there. that would have eventually an enlightened earth. A luminosity, as you will hear sometimes, that you would have as you walk around as a light worker that sees far, far more of the plan than anyone else. And right now, as you sit there, I'm going to make a statement so that again you'll hear it and you'll hear it and you'll hear it. Evil is not winning on this planet, regardless of what you think. It doesn't work that way anymore. Since 2012, you realize, do you not? You were not even supposed to be here if you take a look at the prophecies of old, of those who said that by this time, past the year 2000, 2012, there would have been another war. There wasn't. Did you notice? We have said this before. The plan is starting to work. Can you have compassion when you see the things you've seen? Can you understand and have an open heart and an understanding to know that all the ugly things were always there? They're just coming out of the woodwork, as they say. So you can now see them. How do you like your Congress right now? And you would say, I don't like what I'm seeing. They just fight a lot. Did you know that by exposing this in the way that has been exposed in the last month or so, you are starting to make up your mind what you don't want to see in this Congress of yours in the United States? Do you understand this? It's going to have a comeuppance. There's going to be a point at which you're not going to elect people who simply fight with each other. Are you aware of this? This is luminosity. It's light that's going to show up in a way that never did before. Are you seeing the biases that have happened, whether it's with genders or with police or whatever, starting to come to a head, and you're saying, we don't want this anymore. We don't want it. And we're going to work for whatever it takes, a decade or so. This is the plan. Can you have compassion for those who are working through it? Perhaps those who are losing their lives because of it. Can you look at all of that and go, this plan, I'm so pleased that we're starting to see all of these lifetimes pay off. Finally, the plan is starting to come, so the light is starting to show. Don't be fooled by the appearance that everything is falling apart, because it's not. It always was falling apart. That's why you were not going to be here. That's why you were going to have another world war that you didn't, dear ones. Are you understanding this? Can you sit back and simply stop, look around? How many decades do you think that some in the clergy were abusing young boys? 50 years? 100 years? We've said this before. And how long has it simply been covered up? And now it's not. Don't you see? Suddenly there is responsibility. Suddenly there are things that you're seeing that were always there, and now they come to the surface. The plan is starting to work. All those things are starting to be seen. And you look around and you go, wow, there's this, and this is ugly, and this is horrible, and this is whatever. I'll tell you, that's what it looks like when the oil starts to come to the surface. And they start to separate instead of meld with the light and the dark. It's starting to separate itself, and you're starting to identify what you don't want on this planet. That's new, especially since 2012. Be aware. That's the plan. How compassionate can you be to those who are caught up in it and don't even realize it? Can you start to drop some of the worries and the fears and be compassionate for the plan? Because you're seeing a very slow turn of events. Light is starting to win. And as you start to see yourselves solve these issues, really solve them, so they don't simply come back and come back and come back, you'll start to see what I mean. You're creating a better earth. I'd love you to hear this channel many times. Or to tell others, perhaps that what they perceive may not be totally what they think. Things may not be falling apart. They may be revealing themselves so that you, as a human race, can decide you don't like them and you're going to solve them. Compassion for the plan is with a mature heart. It's with mature benevolence. We've said that word several times. The maturity comes from you, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, having been on this planet and starting to have a more mature consciousness of what you want and what you don't want. You know what's coming in the circle of 12, don't you? Because we're going to echo some of this when you sit in that chair. That'll come soon. Just a little bit. When we meditate together. And this meditation of the circle of 12 is where it starts to happen. And so it is. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching this. I wanted to tell you this is a little time sensitive.
I invite you to take a deep breath and slowly, as you exhale, allow all the tension in your body to dissolve and melt away. And let us quiet the questioning logic and intellect of the mind. Let us gently talk to it. Say thank you for always being a part of me. And let's quietly move into that safe place that is always here for you. That safe place that reminds you that you are eternal, that you never had a beginning, and therefore you never can have an ending. You simply always exist. And in this beautiful place of infinite existence, let us acknowledge the wonderful messages that we can now receive from Kryon.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. Each time we come to you in this way, we are so aware of all who are listening. For many years, we have presented the channelings. And for many years, those channelings have been recorded and placed in places where you get them. And you get them for free, and anyone can listen to them at any time. This was what I asked my partner to do many, many years ago. And all the time that we have done this, I have told you this, that in a multidimensional state, it doesn't matter whether you're watching or listening to that which has been recorded or not. Because we are aware of the listener. Awareness of the listener. If you are listening or watching this in a time that it was not broadcast, a year later, we see you there. We know you there. You're part of the family. We're always with you. You're never alone. The fact that you have given intent to listen to this in your now, it's our now as well. Your eyes are here, your ears are here, your consciousness is here. We have a compassion for this. This is the compassion of the creative source.
We know you. So this is live, no matter when you listen to it, no matter when you see it. And that is what we always wanted to say to you, so you understand. It's the awareness we have of you as the listener that makes it so profound. This is the last of 4 channelings on that which is compassion. Now, we may do some other compassionate kinds of explanations in the future, but these 4 are the ones we wish to give you at this time for you, for what's going on the planet right now. This is the 4th time I will give you that which is the definition of compassion as we see it, not the one you find in the dictionary. And even this description is filled with metaphors. Listen. Compassion is the connection with God, with Spirit, with the creative source. A connection that allows you to meld with the energy of open-heartedness, with mature benevolence, with understanding of everything that is. Again, with perhaps even more explanation. A connection with that which is the creative source. That in itself, critical, is first. Connect to Spirit. And next, understand that that will allow you to have a complete and meld with things you don't normally meld with. Energy, open-heartedness. Perhaps some of you feel you're not necessarily that way. You would be if you connected. Open-heartedness, mature benevolence, not simply benevolence. Mature benevolence is that which comes from old souls, which have seen it all and are arriving now at this time and understand what the difference is between simple benevolence and been there, done that benevolence. Mature benevolence. And finally, understanding of what you're seeing. That's a big one. There are so many who don't understand what they see because they only see it in 4D. And those who are multidimensional have a second sight and a third sight, an understanding sight, and a peace that happens because of it. That's compassion. And the 4th compassion is this, something we've been teaching for years, and it's called compassionate action. Here is the premise. When you have compassion for any of the other 3, number 1, for others, number 2, for the plan, number 3, for yourself, what is the action that comes from that compassion? What do? Compassionate action is something that doesn't always happen. It's not automatic. There are many who simply have compassion. They feel certain things. They develop certain compassions, certain kinds of, I would say, perceptions around it, and that's it. And it stops there. And there's nothing wrong with that. But there's the rest of the story. If you have compassion for things, people, situations, for yourself, for the plan, what's next? What follows that we call compassionate action. What if there were really 2 parts to all compassions? And there is this, the understanding, the realization, you see it, and then you do something. Now that something that you do can be almost anything that is also compassionate. Let's give an example. You're compassionate to a person, and we rewind to the first lesson, the first facet, compassion to others. And we told you, it's not feeling sorry for them, and it's not pity. You have that mind that is melding with spirit, and you have compassion for all that is them and what they're going through. Let's say they have lost someone.
Let's say you see them and they're in their sorrow and crying, and you feel it right here, and you start to have immense compassion for their situation, for their souls, for them. What's next? How powerful are you? Do you think that you have a connection to Spirit? Do you think you're listened to? I'll tell you, there are millions of us who are listening to you all of the time. When you pray to God, what have you been told that is? In the very linear 4D way. You have no idea. Every single time you open your heart to speak to Spirit, we're there. So you see this person, and what do? What if you were put your hand on your heart, dear Spirit, give this person peace and strength. I see them being hugged by God. I see them understanding more about what has happened and not having it affect them for the rest of their life. I see this mother who has lost their child. And I see that mother, perhaps, dear Spirit, you will allow and send the energy of love so she is comforted. Nothing can eliminate that which has happened, but her reaction to it for the rest of her life can be mature benevolence, where she sees it and it doesn't control her or make her cry every time she thinks about it. But instead, dear Spirit, let her feel loved and understand. And so your reaction then and your compassionate action is instantly to say a prayer. To say, dear Spirit, give her love, send her love, so she can feel it. And maybe it goes further. Dear Spirit, let this person find light in places that person doesn't expect. You might see that there is an individual who hasn't lost anyone, but is always, always sorrowful. It happens. Always perhaps depressed. It happens. A person that can't really see light anywhere, and you have compassion for them because every time you're with them, you think, I wish so much that they could improve. I wish for them, and I wish you can do more than that. Compassionate action is you going into that which you do so well, a connection with Spirit to help them balance. Dear Spirit, let them find that which I found. Put something in their path that they can't miss, like you did with me. Let them find it in their own time, with their own choices. But put things there so they can find peace where they don't have peace now. So they can understand that they don't have to worry all the time. Some of you have had these things put in your path. My partner has a name for it. It says, made you look. With free choice, you make the decision that says, what if there's more than I was told? What if all of these things, this strange idea of channeling, the strange ideas that Spirit has a magnificent plan, all these, what if this had substance? Substance past what you were ever told by any spiritual leader on the planet. What if it goes further than that? What if you are magnificent? Then you say, oh, and it brings you here. And you start studying the things that will lengthen your life and heal your body. And then you turn and you see someone who hasn't got a clue. And you say, oh, if they only knew. If they only knew. And you'd have compassion. And now you start the prayer. Or the visualization, if you visualize, even the feeling. Dear creative source, I know you love this soul. Put something in their path to make them look. With free choice, if they will or not, and if they don't look the first time, do it again and again, so maybe they can see light and find the comfort that they could have, like you did with me. Like you did with me. Compassionate action. What if there is an action
Every time you feel compassion. When you feel compassion for the plan, which we told you about before, part of the 4, what would be the compassionate action? How about this? You drop into your heart. You say, Dear Spirit, thank you for all you put us through to bring us to this point where we're starting to climb that ladder by ourselves of enlightenment, starting to clean up our planet, our societies, our culture very, very slowly, so that there will be no more war. So that we'll start to understand each other and how to work with each other better. Thank you for that. Could it be that compassionate action is thanks? Yes. Every single one of you can figure out what would be the action you would take that would be most compassionate after you have the compassion. Yes, this is advanced. And that's why we presented it to you last. I hope you've understood these 4 areas, and if you have not, you can always listen to them again. These channelings on the Healing Wednesdays, the channelings will also be available for all to hear, not sequestered only to the membership. But you're hearing them first, and you're hearing them now and in your real time. As I said, we know who's here. I'm Kryon, in love with humanity.
Let's spend some time getting into that timeless state of being in the now. And the easiest way to do that is to just quieten our mind for a moment. And I invite you to close your eyes and let any thoughts you have floating around in that beautiful brain of yours just dissolve away. We're just going to melt all of those thoughts, those things that we're thinking about, what we have to do in another hour, what we did last night, all of those thoughts, let's just bundle them up and let them slowly dissolve away and fade into the background. We can pick them up in a minute or two, but for now, we just want to have everything dissolve away, emptying out all our cares, all our worries, tuning in to this now moment. There's nothing to do, there's nothing to even think about. There's simply just this sensation of being in the now, being fully present within this moment. And so when you feel that you have come a little closer to being in that now moment, just have that attitude of relaxation and that softening of all the parts of your body so that we can now receive a message from Kryon.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. The channelings this month in these programs is about timing. So many questions, personally for you, the earth, especially of what is going on right now on the planet, the surprise of war. These things, dear ones, come about in cycles. But the one I want to talk about right now is that which is you. What is the cycle that we have given you over and over for 32 years to look forward to? We called it the precession of the equinoxes. The ancients actually identified it as a time of change. The Mayans called it a new creation cycle. Other indigenous had many other names, but they all said the same. Things would change. opportunities for change would be there. They watched the stars. They saw the energy that it might create. They actually channeled the messages, and they were accurate. And it's so true. You are in the shift at the moment, and we have taught that for all of these years. More years than not, we told you it was coming, and now it's here. What is the timing of this in reference to you and your soul? Last week, we discussed something in the circle of 12, and we had you standing ready to come here, and we called it the wind of birth. We also then described you in that area as heroes in the making. But the question remains, did you actually plan on being here at this moment? Is there some kind of Akashic timing that would help you to be here? The answer is this. It's more profound than you think. Now let's go back. We have given you a lot of information about you as an old soul. And if you have been reflective in this and have studied any of those messages for yourself, you might recall that old souls are those who have been in this school of earth many, many times. Your Akashic record would read that you have had lots and lots of lifetimes, especially on a planet where through centuries the lifespan was very short. So you might imagine, if you've been here since the beginning, how many thousands of lives you've lived. But you don't have to have been here from the beginning to be an old soul. You just have to have an experience on the planet which is lengthy, perhaps even several hundred years to have been here over and over. And what happens each time is that this Akashic record of yours collects wisdom. It collects the been there kind of energy where you wake in the next lifetime, often in the same culture, and you have a more comfortable lifetime because of it, because you know a little more of what to expect. Many times you can see things coming. You can make adjustments because of it. Or you'll have that deja vu experience, been here, done that, I'm not going to do that before, and make adjustments. So what I am saying to you is that the timing often of things that happen to you on this planet, your planning, is wiser than those who are not old souls. Where are you going with this, Kryon? I'm telling you that the more lifetimes you've had on this planet, the more you are aware of the planet, of what is here, of how to work with it, of the potentials. You have what we call slogged through old energy for centuries. There's very little light on this planet, dear ones. There are light pockets, and we've talked about that, but suddenly it's different. This is the shift. It's the one that the ancients talked about. It's the one that we talk about, where the actual quantum field that is around you is being rewritten, rejuvenated, renewed, where the planet is moving into new areas, where the magnetic grid has shifted to allow for higher consciousness energy to be here. And old souls are the key. The more old souls who are on the planet at this time, the better chance you have of pulling yourselves up by the bootstraps and sending light to the earth. Now, take that premise for a moment. We need you, old soul. Let's say that you have started a lifetime, and maybe it was only 30 or 40 years ago. And that lifetime came to a quick end, and you only made it to perhaps 25, 26 years old, and then you passed. There would be those around you. They would say, how could that be? They were on a trip that was enlightened. We could tell that they were very wise. How could their lives be shortened so much when they had so much to do? Now get ready. What if that was in the plan? Your plan. So that you could have one more short lifetime and come back and grow up so you'd be an adult for the shift. And the reason is because we need you at a certain age. And that certain age will mean so that you could teach others better. So you be seen by society in a certain age group and do a better job with what you are here for. I just gave you something to really think about. Reasoning behind early death, where we need the old soul, or you see it as a need for you to terminate the current lifetime, come back fresh, young, filled with the energy that you need to save this planet and send it light that you would not have had you not passed. Did you get that? Timing. Here's the statement today about timing. You are here on purpose now. You planned it at the age you are, doing what you're doing. This has all been in what we would call the plan that you set here. And the plan isn't for your life. The plan was for your lives. On the other side of the veil, you have the mind of God. You can see the wisdom. You can even understand and weigh the grief of others when you passed early against what you might do when you return. The lights that you might carry, that you didn't carry or had a hard time carrying when you were here in the last lifetime that terminated early, you would pick up completely with the wisdom and make a far grander impact right now on this planet during this shift than you could otherwise. Let me tell you something to think about and ponder. Many of you have done that. Many of you. So that you would arrive at the right time, at the right place, in the right culture, to be here right now, to send compassion and light to this planet so that it will do things it never would have done in the old energy, and you're seeing some of them. The reactions, perhaps, to the dark energy that shows its head right now, shows itself right now. What's the world's reaction to what's going on right this moment? Have you ever seen anything like that before? And the answer is no. Do you think that the darker energies are surprised? And the answer is yes. But they will struggle and fight and push against the light for a very long time. Your light will win. And we've told you this. You've already seen a piece of this happen. We've also told you 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But here it is, so you can see what happens when the darkness starts to push against something it never expected. A time when the earth would not be dark. A time when light would start to occur and wisdom, compassion, and kindness would start to be part of a love agenda, I'll call it, that this planet is bound for, is awakening to. Timing? You are not here by accident. And if you think you are, I want you to give it a second thought. You're here by design, and you're not here to suffer. You're here to be healthy, and that is why I ask for this program to exist and continue existing, so that you will be able to hear so many human beings that are invested in you and your health, to helping you, to healing you. So many different methods, so many different ways, because there are so many of you who have different methods and different ways and different minds. You're not here by accident. You planned this. So, old soul, if you are in my hearing range right now, I'll tell you this. Go do what you do. But understand that you have an entourage behind you who wants to lift you up and take you to a place where your light will shine and show. Don't let things get to you to beat you up emotionally or spiritually because you see some darkness or don't understand something. You're here to thwart it, to change it, to convert it to light. It's not an easy job. That's why they call it the light worker. That's why you're here. But if I ask you to get going on it, in all love, understand you are dearly loved, each one of you, here on purpose for the salvation of the consciousness of this planet. And so it is. Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. The process of channeling is different for some. There's no right and wrong way. It's an individual way, unique to the human being. There are those who channel in this room. I know who's here. You do it in your own way. You do it through intuitive processes. You get what you get and you speak what you speak, and it's accurate. That's channeling. What you see is a direct connection here with my partner and myself, and it's been 26 years in the making. He is comfortable with it. He steps away into a place that we have discussed before where he watches and is comfortable. And what is happening now is we're using everything that the human being has, his culture, his language, his intellect, and his willingness to be clear, in order to talk to you in real time. Spirit does not communicate in a linear fashion. What you are hearing is his interpretation and translation of a multidimensional message that is coming in many times. He has learned to linearize it for your ears. But at the same time, there's something called the third language. It is multidimensional, and it's coming from this chair. It's talking to some of you right now, and you'll feel it way beyond the words that come. It is available for any who hear the words, even those who listen later. The third language is the intuition communication from Spirit as you listen to me. We are family. That's who we are. We're not teachers to you. We're family. And when you're not here, you are like us. It is so hard for you to believe that you are more than you are. The filter that you have that keeps you human and not something else stays in place as long as you are here. To the very last breath that you take before death, you're still wondering, is it real? That's free choice. It must be that way, dear human. And yet here you sit. And some of you are believing and cognizing the reality of this. Some of you are feeling that I'm here. I've said so many times, I am here because there are things for you to know. We look at you and we say, we're so congratulative on what you have been able to accomplish. Not just that, the willingness to listen, to know, to hear. There are some who are here and who tune into this because you're in trouble. For a moment, I want you to suspend that. Did you know you can? There's a part of you that knows better than to buy into that which would cause distress with you. No matter what it is in your life, you can suspend it for a moment and feel the love of God in your life, if only for a moment, to help tip the balance of normalcy so you can breathe easy just for a few moments and know that all is well and that we know you. I want to call this the mid-year report of 2015. It's not a long, enduring channel. It is one we want to give you so that you know where you are. We speak of what is happening in a practical way, in a common sense way, to humanity and to old souls. Now there is a difference. For the new energy carries with it attributes that all will feel on the planet in a slow fashion where they won't be alarmed. And then there are attributes that the old souls feel very powerfully, very quickly. And they know it. With a change in the way you think. We talk about the mental attributes of consciousness. And we say you are starting to think differently. This is a difficult one because really, truly, it involves consciousness. If you take a look around the planet and see some of the things that are happening, there are different kinds of consciousness. People are starting to think different, to get together and act differently because there is a mental difference. You can't put your finger on it, and sociologists have not even seen it yet for what it is. There's a softening going on. There are those who will start to understand that they don't have to sit in a certain kind of box anymore, and it's okay to be more expansive, perhaps to think out of the box, maybe to include others more. You can see it in religion. You may actually see it in politics. These are human beings, regular human beings, who are being affected by an energy that is coming at you, and we told you it would be here. Now, in order for you to understand what we're talking about, we have to review. Some time ago, we talked to you about being in a new area of space. Your solar system, as it moves around the center of the galaxy, is entering a different kind of space that has a different energy in it. Ask an astrologer and an astronomer, for they both understand the ramifications of this. An astronomer will tell you it may actually affect the heliosphere of the sun. This then affects that which is your magnetic grid, which affects you. This has been the teaching of Kryon since the beginning. I am the magnetic master, and there's a reason for the name. Therefore, there may be different thinking. It's right on schedule, dear ones, and we said this before, and many of you are starting to see it and feel it. Is it possible that Earth and the solar system is moving into a different kind or area of space with an energy you haven't seen before that literally is on target, on track, timed properly, on purpose, in case you had passed that marker of 2012? You needed it. And you're here, and you do, and it is. You're thinking differently. What is the most linear, unstoppable force that is the same that you can think of, that is the hardest thing to change? And you would say, well, from what we have seen, it has to be religion on the planet. The sources of it is old. The belief system has never changed. It is creating problem after problem because there is no willingness to change. And it's changing. You're going to see it, dear ones, in almost all of the boxes you call religion. But one of the biggest has a pope. We told you about it. We celebrated it. Before it happened, we told you you would have a new pope. We told you what he was going to do. At that point in time, you all thought the old one would die. What a paradigm change. It's called a wild card. A wild card is defined as something that happens that nobody expected, that is not in the paradigm that it should be. Imagine having 2 living popes. Even the Vatican is confused. Against all odds, one of them resigned. He didn't resign to die, dear ones. Did you notice? He's still around. And the new one took over. And against all odds, he was from South America. And against all odds, he has started talking differently than any pope has ever talked. Because he knows in order to save his church, he's going to have them think differently. There has to be consciousness shift within his church to remain a church. It is actually more threatened than you know. There will be more like him who understand these kinds of things. It's the way of what we would call the mental attitude of humanity all over. You're reaching out for things you never reached out for before. The majority on the planet right now want peace on earth. It's the minority who don't care. We'll talk about that more in a moment. Where are you at this point in time? You're in year 2. We told you this before, dear ones, that this new energy was measured from 2014. 2013 didn't count. You were too busy with recalibrating yourself. And we were there for it. 2014 was year 1. This is year 2. How are you doing? Have you talked to a 2-year-old lately? How are you doing? You are beginning and you're doing well. What are the biggest issues that you are getting through? Fear. That's the first one. And you're doing it well. Against all odds, you're seeing what is in front of you, and you're starting to realize and recognize this is why you're alive. Old soul, this is what you waited for. And even though it might be tough going, it's finally here. It's here. Now, how do you use it? How do you recognize it? What does it mean? Can I say something to all of you at this time in your planet's history? Relax. These things are going to start becoming clear as you go. Part of the mental realignment, or what we will call the evolution of the consciousness of all those on earth, is that they're going to start wanting to have their spirituality make sense, instead of just following the rules of their parents. It's going to have to make sense. You're going to see some major spiritual groups be exposed. You're going to start seeing those who make a difference, making a difference in a different way. You're going to see some awakenings within the church, even all churches, when they start seeing that which is the basis of their attendance, which would be those in priesthoods, dwindle, because it's not making sense. That's when they will start changing things. Others will have a resurgence. And the difference is this: look for compassionate spiritual systems to increase. If it has compassion and the love is obviously there, it's going to increase. Don't make the mistake of linking it perhaps to a master or somebody from the past. I'm not talking about that. If there's compassion and there is love, it will increase. It's a new paradigm. Those who have no compassion and there is no love and it's obvious that it's something else will dwindle. It's simple. Watch for it. You're going to see it. That's a mental shift. Physically, how are you doing? Dear ones, the physical body of the human being is going to have a resurgence in awareness. Now, let me speak in terms that are better. Human beings are going to start caring more about what they eat, what goes into their bodies, and a realization that what you have called alternate medicine doesn't have to be alternate. It can simply be another one that works. So start watching this, because it's closer to mainstream than you think, dear ones. The things that are happening and are being discovered right now, we have discussed before. You're starting to move into a new paradigm of healing that's going to involve more kinds of energy than chemistry. And so look to this. You'll see not energy work as you call it in the New Age, but energy cures. That is cures and health remedies that involve that which is physics as much as that which is chemistry. Sometimes it will be together. It's coming. In some ways, it's already here. It's new. So physically, for you, both for the human race and for the light worker, you're going to start responding differently to these cures. Now there's more. For old souls, you're going to have more of an awareness of how to stay on this planet longer. Did you hear that? Now, this may seem unfair to many. Why is it that a group of people would have a better awareness than others? And I say to you again, it is no different from those in school who have been there for 9 years instead of 2. They know better. They know more. They're able to navigate within the system better because they've been there longer. That is why, dear one, you will start awakening to things that others will not. Years and years ago, as many as 15, I gave you a channel that said there would come a time when consciousness would determine how a person heals instead of the strength of their chemistry. And you're here. And that is what we want to tell you that is different. Today, my partner started to talk to you about some of the new things that he is seeing that are being embraced. In this process, so many of them have to do with consciousness, the physics of consciousness, even that which is energy on the planet, as opposed to new chemical inventions. It is the way of it. You're going to see more of it. But the old soul is going to become more aware of it and faster. Be alert for it, dear ones, for it's almost like something that sits in front of you that you will see and others will not. Let synchronicity bring you things that'll keep you alive longer. The physical body of the human being is starting to evolve through DNA. And in this process, it is the old soul who will have the benefit first. You've been around longer, you've experienced more, your Akashic record is stronger, and it just yells that this is what you've been waiting for. You're right on schedule. There's much to come in this. The third one is spirituality. And now we do not speak of the spirituality you have in this room or even those who are listening. We're speaking of the earth in general. We told you there'd come a day, dear ones, where this would happen, and it is. Do you realize what's going on? You are actually battling duality. For the first time in history, this planet has a war of dark and light, not of country against country. Do you see it? We told you it was coming. We said that there will be organization of darkness. The ones who are invested in keeping things the same, under the guise of a spiritual system, will create darkness, and it will frighten you, and it is. We've also given that which is information as a review, that the fear that they want to develop, they know, will stop you if you let it. That's all they have. You're doing well. for you're seeing it for what it is. There are some who are afraid, indeed. But the old soul has seen it before. And the old soul knows that it cannot harm them, because light will eventually win. What you see going on right now is very interesting, and let me tell you and paint a picture. Isn't it interesting to you that such a force could be gathered so quickly and move into so many areas, and the governments are not doing anything about it? This is because you're looking at a paradigm that has caught them all by surprise. They're used to fighting languages and countries and ideologies, not that which is dark. They're having a difficult time even agreeing that it's a problem, because they think it'll go away, and it won't. It's going to get worse before it gets better. There will come a tipping point where they'll all understand it finally and join together, and it will be the consciousness of the planet against a few. They won't have a chance. But not right now. So I use what you're seeing on TV right now as proof that these words are accurate and true. Your governments have never seen anything like it. Therefore, they have a tendency to discount it. They have a tendency to say it's going away, it's a fad, it's a flash in the pan. It isn't. It's new. It's the darkest thing you can imagine, and it's able to recruit from anywhere. Because darkness is anywhere you want to look. Dear ones, by free choice, you have those who think this way everywhere in any walk of light, any walk of life. The light really doesn't matter. They could be in a place that is well lighted spiritually, and they still, you don't even know it, will think in the dark. This is a challenge of duality. They will be attracted to the dark. This group will have no trouble pulling out recruits from the strangest places, even the church. Darkness will attract itself because darkness is having trouble with the light around it. Again, light is active, darkness is not. Therefore, light will win if it's turned on. It's not being turned on. It will. Do not concern yourself overly with what you see as far as your future. I say it again. It's right on schedule. And could I say this to you without giving away anything? Those that are your seed parents, that you call the Pleiadians, had the exact same thing happen. Every planet of free choice that moves past that marker where it starts to graduate has the exact same problem. A battle for the old ways, a battle for the dark. Isn't it obvious when you look at it? The dark and the light. Can you see compassion and love, and you can see the absence of it? It's becoming more defined for you, isn't it? That is because you're evolving. There was a time when people could not see that, and now you see it very clearly. Finally, there is this. There is a wild card coming. All that we see that is the potential of the planet in the overview leads us to say this. And the wild card is not a bad one, any more than the last one you had, which was the fall of the Soviet Union. The wild card may actually be something that no one expects against a paradigm that nobody thought was there. It has to do with inventions. You're going to start getting some odd ones. They're not scheduled. But then again, none of them were that you received. Now let me back up. And I want you to follow me and connect the dots. Dear ones, the greatest inventions that humans have were all given to you when you needed them. You might say that inventions progress in a logical way. As you invent one technology, it leads to another and to another. You would be correct, mostly, but not with the wild cards. The last one you had that you were ready for was flight. It's not much more than 100 years old. You see that, do you not? And yet humans have been flying kites for thousands of years. They've been watching birds as long as birds existed. They have been looking to the skies and saying, I wish I could fly. And yet, something as simple as you know now about flight was so elusive. You got it all at once on the planet. You claim it as an American. An American inventor gave you flight. 2 bicycle makers figured it out. And the whole history never did. You only beat the French by 2 weeks. They were all working on it together. Dear ones, inventions are given to this planet when the consciousness is ready for them. The same was with radio. This was also given to you when you needed it. It was not a natural extension of another kind of invention. The same was with Tesla's alternating current. No one could ever think of that unless he was a master who had the knowledge before he came in. By the way, if you take a look at his life, he had much more to give you. And none of it stuck. When you see something like this, you have to know that inventions are something that you receive when you need it. There's another one coming. There's actually 3. I cannot tell you when, how, or where. I will tell you that you're right on schedule for another phase, another wild card to look forward to. A good one, dear ones, like the other ones have been. And it's time. When you see it, you'll know it. You'll say, against all odds, this is different. What a deal. Dear ones, we're happy to give you all of this information in this day. That's where you are. Other planets have been right where you are. There's no surprise. From our standpoint, as we look at you, there's no surprise in year 2. Growing up, identifying the new energies, getting rid of the bullies, growing up. Peace on earth is guaranteed if you continue. Peace on earth will be necessary for some inventions. And that's so you will not weaponize them. This is coming. Peace on earth is not the end, it's the beginning. It was for the Pleiadians as well. Peace on earth comes with consciousness that has wisdom. It is part of that which is the new human. Now, in summary, where are you? You're discovering a compassionate earth. The old souls are awakening to a new energy. The dark is fighting you because it's afraid of you. Your news and your media is old energy, and you know it. There are new kinds of media and news coming that you can turn to that are balanced for programs you want to watch instead of those that you are given to watch. All of these things are before you. Personally, dear ones, physically and mentally, you're in year 2. Can I tell you this? Loved beyond measure, we want you to stay. We don't want you to be frustrated. But when you're recalibrating, for some of you listening to this, when you're recalibrating, all of those things don't mean anything. It is so tough for you. Hang in there. And know that there is part of you that knows all about what you're going through. That holds your hand and says, hang on. There is love. There is compassion. There is purpose. You'll get through it. Good news.